at Wings Etc. in Cape Girardeau. And we invite you to join us if you have not made plans for lunch or if you need to change them. Oh, that's right, the coaches show is today. Come on over. We got a seat for you here. And don't forget when you get here, in addition, the name Wings Etc. suggests they're award-winning jumbo wings, but they have over 70 items on the menu that do not include wings, including their freshly made burger menu, their wraps, subs, quesadillas, entree salads. Their appetizer lineup includes their huge ultimate nachos platter and their spicy deep-fried pickle chips, and their lunch specials start at just $9.49. It's the home of the Red Hawks Coaches Show, Wings Etc. Good food and great times. We've got a packed show today. We've got Coach Brad Korn. Obviously, we'll be talking Red Hawks hoops. Adam Larson is here, the talented sharpshooting freshman from Fenimore, Wisconsin. We'll be talking with the 6'9" Larson. We'll get Korn and Larson back-to-back. Who's taller? And then Lucas Orchard, assistant football coach for Southeast Missouri State, is here. And we're going to be talking about Southeast Missouri State University's Alumni Association. And we'll get a lot more on that. It is officially the Alumni Network for former players, coaches, and staff members. It's really cool, and Lucas Orchard is going to fill us in on all of that. But before that, let's welcome in the Red Hawks head basketball coach, Brad Korn. How are things, Coach?
Going well. Obviously, it could be a little bit better after Saturday's game, but all in all, keep things in perspective. Won 7 out of 9. We've won 3 of those have been on the road, put ourselves in good position. 6 games left in the regular season, so again, you wake up today refreshed, excited. What else would you want?
You know, you still control your own destiny in that you've got Morehead State here on Saturday night. They're one game in front of you, so not only would you have a chance to knock them off, but also win the tiebreaker with Morehead State should you beat them Saturday. So right now, you technically control your own situation going forward.
Yeah, and it's, you know, some of that, again, that's good. It's nice to talk about, especially late in the year as we enter the latter part of the season, conference season. But again, at the start of the season, we controlled our own destiny too. You know, so long way to go, a lot of basketball to be played. Again, historically, since we've been here, we've been playing our best basketball towards the end of the season, so that needs to continue on as we enter these last 3 weeks. You know, I put in the group chat last night to the guys, it's 18. We have 18 days left together before Evansville. You got 12 practices. You got 6 games. And again, like I said before, what else you want? We're in a great position. Of course, we'd love to be undefeated and just show up and win all the games and all that. But that's not how college basketball, it's not how college athletics works. You got to come in and work and earn everything that you get. So again, we just 3 weeks to go. In great position. We've got to be excited, ready to get better today, this week, next week, and the following week to be playing our best basketball as we head into March.
With 6 games left in the regular season, the Red Hawks are a game out of first place. Morehead is 9-3. You are 8-4, and then SIUE and UT Martin 7-5. You do not win the tiebreaker with Martin. They beat you both times, so that could be a factor. But in terms of, you know, you share a regular season title. The seeding purposes, you know, if you win a tiebreaker, but still the top 14 or the top 2 teams are going to get a double bye into the semifinals.
Yeah, and that's obviously very, very important. We're talking about having to win 2 games as opposed to 3. Not to say that you can't do that, but again, obviously that's the way the tournament is set up for that to happen. Obviously, your chances go way up if you've put yourself in that position to get a bye. And again, it's going to be, there's so much to be determined still. So many teams still in the hunt. I don't know how many it is that are close within reach. Or, you know, everybody is still right there. So as you've seen, especially
you've
as we saw on
got 5
Saturday,
teams within 2 games of first place in the loss column.
You saw Saturday just in the conference. Edwardsville wins on a buzzer beater. Tech wins on a buzzer beater. Southern Indiana hit a shot at the buzzer to send it into overtime against Morehead. So these games in February are going to come down to the wire. You see it all across college basketball. So there's a ton to be determined. We've put ourselves in a nice position. And now what are we going to do about it with 3 weeks left? You know, this week we have to get better today. We have to get better tomorrow in practice. We can't just show up and play the game or just show up on Thursday at Tennessee State and kind of go through the motions thinking that we are going to be able to play Morehead for first place on Saturday. So, well, you know, these games don't one game doesn't mean that much more than the other. If you don't take care of business on Thursday, if you don't take care of business next week, if you don't take care of business the week after that, it doesn't matter. So the most important thing is being ready to go and get better today and tomorrow and Wednesday in practice to prepare ourselves for the remaining 6 games.
So the Red Hawks fall on a buzzer beater at Tennessee Tech on Saturday, 82-80, and such a roller coaster basketball game. You didn't get off to a terrible start. You were fine early in the game. Then you fell behind by 18 points, and then here you come. You cut it to 11 at halftime. They would build it back up. It seemed like for the first 8 or 9 minutes of the second half, it was a double-digit deficit, but slowly and surely you started to build your way back, and then chaos at the end of the game. Phil Russell said he was fouled. You watch the replay. You may have gotten a call there, but still, he goes to the free throw line. 5 seconds to play, down 3. If he misses any of the free throws, you likely lose the game, and this guy stepped up and hit all 3 free throws. How about the comeback, and how did you feel after Phil stepped to the line and tied the game in the biggest, pressurized situation you could imagine?
Yeah, I'm not surprised he made all 3. But again, in that situation with 5 seconds left, there's a whole lot of scenarios going through your mind. Obviously, he makes the first one, so now it's a 2-point game. And now you're thinking, okay, well, if he misses the second, we now have to miss the third, or try our free throw cross type play that we have to miss the third to get a tap back just with 5 seconds left. So there's a whole lot of scenarios that are going through your mind. So now he makes the second. Now, again, you're telling the guys, hey, because you don't want to distract Phil, but at the same time, if he misses this, we have to foul right away. Because now it can still be not a whole lot of time is going to go off the clock. Their number 1 player wasn't a great free throw shooter, even though they had made some free throws in that game. So even if he were to miss that third free throw, we still have to foul right away, and there's still 4 seconds left. A 1-possession game, even if they make both free throws. So there's a whole lot of scenarios going on in that situation. But again, I'm not surprised that he made them all. Again, as you mentioned, we didn't get out to a terrible start. First 10 minutes were fine. We just had a 5-minute segment in that first half where we just completely fell asleep. And I think probably one of the bigger, other than the defensive lapses, our offense, we took way too many no pass or 1-pass shots in that game. And it just seemed that they made 10 threes in the first half. And to me, when I went back and watched it, it was more of like when they hit a 3, it's like we went even faster to try to make up for that 3 that we gave up. Instead of just being under control, doing what we do, and we force tempo, we score, and we push the basketball, but we did not do a good enough job of being able to get multiple passes, multiple paint touches, and then still get the shot that we can get, especially against them in the way that they defend. I thought that we could have got much better shots than we did in that 5-minute stretch. And again, once they started to make threes, I thought that we pressed the issue too much and tried to get it all right back in the very next play or the very next time a guy touched the basketball, whomever that was. So I think that put us in a little bit of a hole. We dug ourselves too big of a hole. Felt like we were down more than 11 and a half. But again, as our guys do, we continue to fight and battle and come back. But again, it's those 5-minute windows that we have to be better at as we try to chase and everything that we talked about at the beginning of the show. Those 5-minute segments as we enter late February, championship level games, championship level teams, we have to understand those 5 minutes can really be the deciding factor. Everybody focuses on the last play of the game, but again, there's obviously a whole lot of that builds up before that, and we have to be better in those 4-minute. We always talk about dominating the 4-minute wars and those 4-minute media timeouts, and we can't have these big dips. If we're serious about trying to contend, which our guys are, and so now we have to take that mental approach and understand that and apply that.
So the final play, Brett Thompson, their point guard. Big-time flopper, but take us through the final play, because he gets the inbounds pass, races down to the free throw line, the left elbow pulls up, hits the jumper, and clearly he got it off in time, made the play. Your thoughts on how that final play developed? I know at first you thought, hey, maybe he traveled. I'm sure you've looked at the video since then. Your thoughts on the final play and how everything developed there?
You would love for him not to be able to get all the way to the elbow and break the 3-point line. We subbed Nate after the third free throw to kind of get everything settled down, make sure we had the correct matchups. We had a timeout left. We could have called it. I was watching Coach Belford. He had a timeout left, seeing if he was going to call it. So it's kind of a little bit of that going back and forth, seeing what was going to happen there in that moment. Decided not to go with the timeout just because I didn't want them to draw something up. I felt we had our matchups. There wasn't anything really more that we were going to do. We subbed Nate in, obviously with some size.
You already had 4 blocked shots in the game, by the way.
Yeah, and so Nate's been in those situations. Obviously, he did against them last time. He was on their guy at the end of the half. At the end of the game, and did a great job defensively. So again, we subbed Nate in, made sure we had our matchups. Just going back and watching the film, you're always worried about committing too many guys to the ball, and then the Villanova play, and we'll pitch back wide open 3 to win the game. You're mad at yourself for that. Other than him allowing him to break the 3-point line, the only thing is, I guess we could have really left Adam in and really put 2 on the ball, knowing that we're going to rotate to other guys. But again, the way that they shoot the basketball, I don't think that was the correct call either. And the kid, he made a play. He made a play. Phil was right in his face, 2 hands up, great wall. Because what you don't want to have is a situation like Tennessee or Auburn, where the kid probably got fouled at the end. So you're not trying to foul. It's that fine line.
I thought he got fouled.
Yeah, and so you never want to foul a guy at the end of the game when it's tied. But again, I think we allowed him to get a little bit too comfortable, too close to the basket in that situation. But again, 5 seconds, we talk about it all the time with our guys. You hear Fran Fraschilla say it a lot on ESPN on these games. 5 seconds, it's about a dribble per second is what you can get. So he made I believe it was about 3, maybe it been 4 dribbles, and you're still able to get to the elbow and make that shot. So a lot of time left, but the only thing I would say that we could have done differently would be maybe to put a little bit more pressure, pinch, we call it pinch. Could have pinched the ball a little bit better to where now he's taking a 22-footer, or he's taking a 20-footer instead of a 15-foot, 12-foot jump shot.
I know you and I talked after the game about defending the 3-point arc. They had 14 3-pointers. What do you see? What did you see on film? What did you see in real time? Were they just making shots? Were you disappointed that they were getting too many good looks? What were your thoughts?
I just thought that they were moving. I thought that they had way more pace and physicality to them. I don't think that our guys didn't understand or appreciate the game. I just think that we were just a little bit slow. And so now they were moving, and they do move at a good pace. We told the guys before the game, it's very similar. The actions that they run, the things that they do are very similar to what we do. And so now it's basically playing against yourself in practice for 40 minutes. And I thought that we just got lost on the weak side a lot. And then by the time we recognized what was going on, the ball was already by us, and now it's too late. There was a couple breakdowns, obviously, defensively, where we were just terrible defense. But I think once they saw a couple go in, and then we put so much pressure, and we had 11 assists, 15 turnovers, which is way too many for us. And we haven't been playing like that offensively. It was just that compound of everything. So I just saw us being just way too laxed and not engaged on the weak side. And then once the ball was made, and just no deflections, just our energy level, and desperation and urgency wasn't there. And again, it seemed to compound because then we try to get it all back right away in the very next possession of offense.
Is that fixable?
Yeah, I think everything is fixable. And again, if it was completely broken, we would have got ran out of the gym. And again, our guys we don't give in. I've never once faulted our guys' effort. We battle. We've been down before, and again, it's finding out why are we getting down in those moments the way that we're getting down. And it really only happens for a split second, or I should say split second, but for a small segment of the game. So again, I thought we did a good job of knowing what we had to do, and then essentially that's why we were able to get back into the game. So a lot of the things that we didn't do, I think our guys know and understand how we can do them better to not allow that to happen again.
Boy, and you could make an argument that you made some good adjustments in the second half because they made 10 3-pointers in the first half, only 4 in the second half. But at halftime, they had hit 10 3-pointers and 5 twos. At one stretch in the first half, a large stretch, they weren't even trying to dribble penetrate. They weren't trying to throw it into the post. All they were doing was ball movement, get a look from 3.
Yeah, and a lot of what they do in their man-to-man against our defense too, early man-to-man, that's what they thrive on. Get to the middle of the floor, get a paint touch, kick out 3. We made a couple of adjustments, and it really took away their driving angles and abilities. So looking back on it, you always can play that game in your mind. Well, we should have done this, should have done that, should have done this, should have that. But again, if we would have came with a little bit better and a little bit more toughness for the first 20 minutes and not have to abandon what we were doing. it's that old saying, do what we do better than what we've been doing before you just go and abandon. Now, we made some adjustments because, again, you can't be so stubborn and hard-headed. I think that's one thing I learned in my time in the Big 12 is that league will make adjustments very quickly. Talk about coaches like Bill Self and Bob Huggins. Been in both of those games where we were up big, and they've gone to a zone. Coach Huggins in the Big 12 tournament, he went to a 1-3-1 late in the second half, and ultimately they ended up winning the game. So you can't be afraid to make adjustments, and we did make some adjustments. But again, it's that fine line as a coach. Like, are we going to completely abandon what we've put all these months and days and hours into, or are we going to try and win this basketball game at this moment? So we did a little bit of both.
And how about Phil Russell, coach? He finishes the game 29 points, 8 assists, 9 of 10 from the free throw line, and is now the leading scorer in the conference. Just a phenomenal performance, and obviously he has proven time in and time out, if he hadn't proven it before, he is clutch.
Yeah, he is. And the ball's in his hands. We expect a lot out of him. He expects a lot out of himself. But he's been playing at a supremely high level all league season long. There's just not a whole lot that you can do with him from a defensive standpoint. We do a lot of things. We create a lot of angles and driving opportunities for him. He's quick with the ball. He can play off the ball. He can make shots. He's making free throws. Leads us in assists, steals. You know, there's just not a whole lot that he can't do. He plays with a great competitive spirit and fire, and our guys feed off of that. And, he makes the game easier for guys like Adam and other guys on the team. But Chris Harris has also played at an all-league level as well. He had a nice game offensively. We got to get him going a little bit more on the defensive side. But again, that's what makes us hard to guard is players like Phil, like Chris, Adam's ability to shoot the basketball. Nate leading the league in field goal percentage. I don't know if he still is, but he was up until last week.
In conference games, he is number one, 77% from the field.
Yeah, and it's, you know, and again, I think we have talked after our games, like, hey, is it time to give Nate Johnson more shots? And I think Nate it's that old, you know, a lot of it too is like, do we need to get him more shots, or is he doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing and taking the right shots? That's why he's shooting such a high field goal percentage. So it's probably both. But again, a lot of that has to do with finding yourself within our offensive system. There's opportunities out there too. You know, he missed a couple against Tech. Nate did, and I thought he would normally make. So again, I think that's when you know that you have a good system in place, you have a good team in place, is when guys miss shots or things don't go well, everyone wonders what's going on or what's wrong. As before, maybe if a guy misses, yeah, they miss because he's not very good. And so now, a guy like Nate, when he misses, it's like, well, what happened? Why did he miss? And so again, as we enter these last few games, I think how I talked about it a lot before, Eric, was Manny Patterson was able to go to another level. I think Nate, Chris, Israel Barnes, I see it a little bit in Israel.
He was terrific in this game. Shot the ball well. I mean, 5 of 7.
Well
but 5 of 7, 2 for 2 from behind the arc. You know, still would like to get the free throw percentage up, but shot the ball well on Saturday.
Yeah, I don't think that when you take all the things, that's what's so great about basketball and team sports is you need everybody. You know, there's never going to be just this one guy, this one moment. It's going to, over the course of an 18-game season, conference season, especially in our league, in the true round robins where you see teams twice. As we head into Tennessee State, obviously think of the swings that have been going on in our league. It doesn't make a lot of sense. We're down 17-1. We win by 17 points. And so just another thing makes a whole lot of sense. So the more consistent team, the more team that understands who they are and what they can do and what they control is going to have a lot of success these last 6 games.
So as you get ready for Tennessee State, this is a team that you beat pretty handily at the Show Me Center. And Junior Clay obviously is one of the marquee players in the OVC. He scored over 2,000 points, played 4 years at Tennessee Tech where he scored over 1,600 points. And he and Philip Russell had a terrific head-to-head battle when you guys played at Cape Girardeau. That was really fun to watch. He had Phil had 30, Clay had 26 and 14 assists.
Yeah, he's a terrific player. Obviously, the way he was moving and some of the shots he was making is a difficult matchup because again, he's one of those guys who can play with the ball in his hands and he can play off the ball. He was making great passes early in that game. They were moving at a much better pace. I don't know if we were ready for that initially. They had a little game plan at the beginning of the game, trying to take Phil out of the game. They were doubling him in the backcourt, or in the front court, I'm sorry. So
Do you think they'll try to do that again or not?
I think that they'll have something. You know, we do set a lot of ball screens again because we have really good guard play. They were coming with a little bit different. They were trying to zone up on the backside after we would set a ball screen, similar to how Moorhead kind of defends ball screens. So again, I think that there's the other thing that's unique and interesting about this league and the conference is playing on that Thursday, Saturday. And so the first time we played, that was a Thursday. So you have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, obviously, to prepare for that Thursday game. So to me, it looked like they had a specific game plan in place because they had a bunch of time to prepare, as opposed to when you flip it and now you only have Friday to prepare for that Saturday game, and that's an afternoon game. So it'll be interesting to answer your question. It'll be interesting to see if they come with that same type of a thing, or if they say, no, this is what we're going to do. It was very obvious to me early in that game they had worked on a specific game plan to try to take Phil out of the game, is what it looked like to me. So we'll see if they come with something new or fresh. The 3 days today, obviously tomorrow and Wednesday, heading into Thursday. But again, going back to what I was saying earlier, as long as you have the more connected team, as long as you just continue to play basketball the right way, it really shouldn't matter what the opposing team does, as long as you have enough of the IQ guys that can read and understand what the defense is trying to do. And I think we have those guys.
And, since we talked last, you beat Little Rock. We certainly don't want to just jump over that game because it was pretty epic. 99-98. You hit 14 three-pointers in the game. Phil Russell tied his own school record again by scoring 37 points. Third time he scored over 30. Take us back through that game, because if you paid money to see offense, you got your money's worth. You paid money to see defense, nobody got their money's worth.
Yeah, it was, and again, there was a kind of a choppy game, a lot of fouls. In that game, I think Phil had 15 points from the foul line, if I'm not mistaken.
Let's just make sure everybody understands, in that game, there were 49 personal fouls whistled and 71 free throws in the ballgame.
Yeah, so real choppy game. But again, you look at guys that have coached for a long time and been around the game. I had mentioned Bill Self and Bob Huggins in the Big 12, of just being able to change and adjust. Little Rock is not the same team that they were when we played them the first time around. First time around, they were playing primarily 1-3-1. They're playing some zone, not as much man-to-man. This time around, much more man-to-man, and their offensive system and styles, they were just going into the post with their guards. So they were exploiting switches, exploiting mismatches. I think they were 4 of 9 from 3, if I'm not mistaken, in that game.
Correct.
And so, and one ahead at the very end with 10, 12 seconds left. So really, you're talking about only 3-pointers made for the game and still scored 98 points. So they were just crushing us in the paint with their guards. And a lot of times you think of it as a big guy, or a big guy's killing you in the paint.
And they had just gone to Tech and won and scored 91 points in the game before they played you.
And so they were a different team. And so again, it's an old saying too. It's not always about who you play, but when you play them. It's going into Tennessee State. They won 2 in a row now, so we've got to be ready for that. So I think what it was our guys, I don't know if we necessarily look at maybe a team's record or just human nature. We beat them the last time, we'll be fine this time. If we take it for granted that we're just going to come out and play well at the Show Me Center because we play well at the Show Me Center. Again, we got off to a slow start in that game as well.
Right.
But again, we find our way, we keep coming, we keep battling. Obviously, if you make 14 threes, you need to win the basketball game. We got to the foul line. But again, it just was a different game. It was a completely different game than it was the first time around. Didn't see any of the 1-3-1, if I'm not mistaken. And their defensive pressure was good, and they just really got out in transition on us early. It was transition offense, pushing the ball up our back, and then they just went straight to mismatches in the post with their guards and really just dominated the paint with us.
Coach Brad Korn joining us here, Coach's Show, Wings, etc., in Cape Girardeau. Coach, in conference games this year, you lost your leading rebounder, Kobe Clark, and so all of a sudden you're like, man.
He's good. He got his surgery today, so keep him in thoughts and prayers.
All right. Send a prayer up for Kobe Clark that everything torn ACL and that he'll be ready to go at some point next season, I guess.
We'll see. I mean, obviously getting through the summer, and hope to have him back really. When you think about it and look at the calendar, hopefully get him back doing some non-contact stuff in the summertime. He probably won't be contacted until August.
So you need guys to step up and rebound the basketball. Obviously, Nate Johnson can. Josh Early can. but none of those guys in conference play rank in the top 20 in rebounding. But Dylan Branson and Chris Harris are both in the top 20 in rebounding in conference games. Two guys that have stepped up their rebounding in the absence of Kobe Clark.
Yeah, and Chris, I think he had 21 and 9 against Tech the last time, not this, but I think he still
rebounded 23 and 11.
Maybe he had 9 this last one.
Yeah.
So he's rebounded the ball well for.
And I think
Tech.
he's like 7th or 8th in defensive rebounding in the conference guard.
Yeah. And you think about Chris and you think about Dylan, those guys, they have the wider body from the guard spot. And again, Nate, Josh Early, they're down there battling the other big guy, obviously. And so we need guys to come back and get rebounds. Because a guy like Dylan, a guy like Chris, obviously, they have guard skills. Chris is obviously a guard, but Dylan, he can push the basketball. So it's not, we don't have to get a rebound and then stop everything and then give it to Phil and go. Like we can get up the floor and change ends. And a guy like Dylan Branson has a very high basketball IQ. He can initiate our offense and initiate the break. So, again, we told our guys when Kobe went down, it's not just on Nate and Josh Early. Josh Early was under the weather against Tennessee Tech on Saturday, but it's not just on those two guys to go get every rebound. Now, we have to do it as a group, and each guy doesn't have to become brand new. Just each guy has to get one more rebound. And we challenge Adam Larson to go get one rebound as of late. And again, Adam's not one of those physical guys, but again, he has physical tools that can allow him to go get rebounds. Dennis Rodman, Charles Barkley, some of the greatest rebounders in NBA history, they weren't the tallest of guys. It's angles, and sometimes, a lot of the times, you work on technique and there's a way to block out and all that, but sometimes you just got to get the ball. And I think Adam has the ability, physical tools, athletically, to just go grab the basketball sometimes. Sometimes there is no blocking. Sometimes you just got to go get it. Guys like Chris, Dylan, Adam, collectively as a group, Israel Barnes is a stronger athletic guard. Can do those things. And Quan has physical tools, athleticism, and he can get above everybody else and get rebounds. So we can do it as a group. It doesn't have to just be on one or two guys.
Another statistic, if I would have told you this deep into the season you would lead the league in block shots in conference play, I mean, everybody's already got 12 conference games under their belt, but you're tied with EIU for leading the league 47 blocks. Nate Johnson had 4 blocks in the game. I know Adam had a block shot as well. All of a sudden, you guys are protecting the rim, and Nate Johnson has been blocking a lot of shots lately.
Yeah, and Kobe was a good shot blocker for us.
I'm saying now that, even though Kobe's gone, here you are.
And it's weird. A lot of it doesn't, I said it earlier, a lot of the statistics in the league this year don't make a whole lot of sense. Just from that standpoint, we did, I think, first or second in steals, first and second in blocks, but we're 9th in defense. So you would think that a team that leads, is first 1 or 2 in steals and blocks, that you'd be 1, 2, 3 in defense, and we're not. So
you're forcing the most turnovers of any team in the league too.
And we're positive. We did lead in assist turnover ratio. I think
number
plus,
1.
Yeah. So offensively, we're fine, and I know we'll continue to be fine. It's just we're not doing a great job of defending the 3, and obviously Tennessee Tech game didn't help that very much percentage-wise. I think we're towards the bottom of that.
And Tennessee State is 2nd in made threes, and so here they come. They like to fire the 3-point shot. You each hit 10 against each other in the first game.
Yeah, and we already talked about Clay. Freeman's been around. Fitzgerald's been around forever, and he can really shoot and make shots.
Dedrick Boyd has 185 career threes.
That's what he does. And he had a great game against us in the first half. He really came out. So we've talked about it before on the show, Eric. There just always seems to be that guy on an opposing team that can just flat out shoot the basketball. Tennessee State has all their guards can flat out shoot the basketball. And so it's going to be, and everyone always shoots it better at home. It doesn't matter what the statistics say. They're always going to shoot and perform and play better offensively at home.
I got to ask you this. Brett Thompson, the guy that hit the game-winning shot, he must have been on the floor 5 times flopping. He got a couple of early charge calls, and then the last 3 times that he tried to do the same thing, there were no calls. He did not get rewarded for stepping over and then flopping down on the floor. When you see that call a couple of times early in the game, are you working an official saying, "Come on, man"? I mean, he's because they flat out same plays. They did not give him that call later in the ball.
Yeah, a lot of the times what we talk about with the guys is the last 2-3 minutes, the players got to make the play. We can't look for a bailout from the officials. And I thought actually Dylan's last 2 shots, I thought he got fouled. But again, you give Dylan credit being strong at the finisher on the rim. You have to be able to play through some of that contact. So I think you see it throughout anything, any kind of level of basketball. Officials don't want to be the ones that ultimately decide a game.
But do you specifically, you see a couple of calls say, hey, man, that guy.
Oh, yeah, we're
okay.
Always trying to work.
All right.
Always. There's an art to it. There's a gamesmanship to it. And again, each guy is a little bit different. At the end of the day, you have to understand that the official is human too. These guys travel all over. I know there's been a lot to John Higgins, that ref that's been on TV a lot. They're traveling all over the country. And Coach Holton, talked with Jack Owens, one of my good friends, was assistant at Ohio State. He got tossed in the first half the other night. So it's like you always got to be checking the temperature and reading the room on those guys. You have to fight for your players. You have to fight for your guys. You just want what's consistent, so that way you know how to adjust. If there's inconsistencies or you don't know how to adjust, then it makes the game really, really hard.
All right, we're going to have Adam Larson on here momentarily. Coach, tell us about the recruiting process with Adam Larson.
Yeah, it was unusual, to say the least, just because that was in the real midst of COVID, and so he didn't get a chance to come down to campus. Actually, he did after. Looked like things were going to clear up a little bit, but we did a lot of Zooms with him and his family, and they were pretty green to the process, the recruiting process, and a little bit unknown too. People in Adam's class, that senior class, they didn't get to do anything, unfortunately for them. It just was a rough a rough senior year for him. They had a good team. His dad was his high school coach, and there's nobody in the stands, and he had to wear the mask when he played, and came here and redshirted. So it's just kind of been like what's been going on the last 2 years. And it's hard for a kid to be able to power through. That's hard enough as it is if you're just in a regular season, but to have to go through that. Just a great kid, a great family. They travel a lot and see him play. Adam has all the things that you want as far as who you want to be represented by in the program. We had a young man come to a game the other day after Christmas who did something selfless for himself and his family, and so we brought him in. Dr. McFerrin brought him in. And Adam texted afterwards, "Hey, Coach, I'd like to do something for the kid." And he went on his own volition, went to Walmart, got him a Lego set, and we gave the kid a Lego set that Adam went and bought on his own dime. So that speaks to who Adam is as a young man, and everybody can see his basketball talent and the future of what he could be for the program. It's very, very bright. There's not many guys at his size that have his skill. He gets around the rim. He's athletic. I think he may know, but I think his senior year track, he's an athlete. We got some golf on TV here, Eric, but he's a great golfer. I think in high school his high jump would have qualified something in the top 10 in the OVC that year, I think it was, or he knows the specifics of that. But so he's just kind of a natural, gifted athlete. He's a unicorn. He really is. And the future of his game and what he can be for this program is very, very exciting.
All right, we'll hear from Adam Larson when we come back. It is the Red Hawks Coaches Show from Wings Etc. on SEMO ESPN. Etc. in Cape Girardeau. The Red Hawks are getting set to head to Music City on Thursday, where they'll rematch with the Tennessee State Tigers. Redhawks beat them by 17 at the Show Me Center in the first meeting. Hey, did you know that you can have Wings Etc. delivered right to your front door? That's right. They have teamed up with DoorDash, and all you need to do, download the free DoorDash app, set up your account, take you just a couple of minutes, and you can enjoy that delicious Wings Etc. menu, including their burgers, wraps, subs, quesadillas, entree salads, any of the appetizer lineup, and don't forget the award-winning jumbo wings, bone in or bone out. Let's talk with Adam Larson, who is joining us here. Adam, I know you ordered some food to go. You got practice coming up. What's on the menu today?
Oh, you got to get some boneless wings.
You're going boneless.
I am.
All right, the other guys we've had in here are all bone-in guys.
Really?
Yeah.
I used to be, but it gets a little messy. So.
Okay, I don't blame you. I mean, you got to have a handy wipe there and
exactly.
napkins, and where you can just use a fork, you're good to go.
Yep.
All right, what flavor are we talking about?
I haven't decided yet. I got to look, but yeah.
They've got a ton of flavors.
Sounds good.
All right. So, Fenimore, Wisconsin. How long of a drive is it from Fenimore to Cape Girardeau?
It's about 7 hours.
Wow, that's a long drive. And I know your parents, your family members come to several games. I met your mom after one of the games.
Yeah, they plan to come to the Morehead State game this weekend, so I'm excited to see them. She came to the EIU game. That's like the closest conference game to Fenimore, so it was good to see them, and I love when they get to come down.
All right, so tell us about where Fenimore is for those of us not familiar with Wisconsin.
Well, it's in the southwest corner of Wisconsin, like 40 minutes from Dubuque, Iowa, just across the border. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. One of my favorite town names in the United States is in Wisconsin. Oconomowoc.
Yeah,
Wisconsin.
I know where that is.
Where's Oconomowoc?
Over by Milwaukee.
All right.
Yeah.
So did you grow up a Bucks fan?
Huge Bucks fan.
All right. So.
Of course, they won the NBA championship the first year I was here, so I couldn't go to the game. That was pretty disappointing. My brother actually got to go to the parade and stuff like that. So
oh, that's great.
I was a little jealous, yeah.
So you're a Minnesota Twins fan?
No.
Okay. So it's a Milwaukee Brewers?
Yep.
All right. I was just throwing that out there. I figured you're a Brewers fan.
Yeah. I'm not a huge baseball guy, but I'll definitely tune into where I know enough. But yeah.
All right. So if we look at the sports that you did compete in, because Coach Korn was talking about your high jump exploits. Tell us about that.
So my uncle's actually the track coach, and he'd always bet on me, you got to come out for track, but I golfed in there during the same season in Wisconsin. So I practiced for 15 minutes in track every day, just enough to get my steps down, and then I go to golf practice. So and it was good enough to be pretty good. So.
All right, now he said that your best ever high. What was your best ever jump?
6'7".
6'7". Oh, you couldn't get to your own height? What happened?
I know, right? I tried, but I didn't. No.
6'9". Were you always the tallest kid in your class?
Yeah, I've always been tall and skinny since I was little, so just how it is.
So, do you hear every day from the strength and conditioning coach or the other coaches, how many calories have you took today?
Coach Pick likes to come up to me and say, "Larson, you're looking extra skinny today." Yeah.
So that's a totally different thing when you get into Division I collegiate nutrition, isn't it?
For sure. Coach Strome's really good with me on coming up with different ways on how to get protein into my diet versus like more than just a protein shake, like adding it to oatmeal or stuff like that. So we're finding ways around it, and it's been going pretty well.
You ever just get to the point, I just can't eat anymore, man. That's it. I'm done.
Yep. All the time.
All right. So the weight room, when you first came here, you redshirted your first year.
Yep.
When you look at all of the strength totals, what you put together in the weight room versus where you are now, how much have you jumped?
Way more than I could have ever guessed. When I got here, I was definitely way behind the 8 ball. But this year, it's a lot different, and I feel pretty strong. I know I don't look very strong, but Coach Korn likes to says I'm soft still, but got to work on that.
I saw Coach Korn play, and his game was similar to yours, but his three-point shooting numbers were not as high as yours.
That's the only thing I could probably get him in. When we play one-on-one, he likes to foul.
Oh, he's a
So, yeah.
fouler. Okay.
Yep, and then it's always his ball too.
All
You
right.
don't get the ball back.
Well, when you're the coach, you get the perks, right?
Exactly.
All right. So, who's the best shooter on the team?
Well, I like to say myself,
All
but
right.
Phil, he can shoot the ball really good. Obviously, Chris can shoot the ball. I feel like all the guards can shoot the ball very well.
How much of an advantage is it to be 6'9"? Because guys can be out there and you can jump over them, and there's not a whole lot they can do about it.
No, it's definitely really nice compared to like someone like Phil who has to like create his own shot, or he has a really fast release, so he doesn't always have to worry about it. But yeah, it's nice when someone's closing out, like they don't really affect your shot, even though sometimes it looks like it. But I just try to keep focused on the rim, and I don't really see the closeout, if I'm being honest.
All right. Now, Coach Korn, I know, thinks he's a golfer. So, you are a very good golfer. Who have you guys played against each other?
No, I think he's scared to play me,
Ah,
so he
that's
always
it.
has to run from that. But we're gonna have to play this year for sure.
All right. So when did you get excited about golf? When did you take an interest in golf?
Probably ever since I was little. It's my dad golfed. It's just kind of been in my family. My older brother golfs. My grandparents golf. So I've always been out and around, and I just kind of fell in love with it. He always talks about golf when it comes to basketball with me, and I feel like it helps me a lot in basketball, just like keeping a level head, because you know in golf anything can happen, and you just got to move on to the next shot, just like you got to get to the next play.
You ever thrown a club into a pond?
No.
Okay.
No.
That's good to know. So did you have to get fitted for new clubs each time you had a growth spurt?
Yeah, I have like 4-inch extensions on my clubs, and we went through that a couple times, but yeah, I think it's time to get some new clubs, to be
Hey,
honest.
can you tell you're a fan favorite at the Show Me Center? The
Sometimes.
fans love you, man. I'm telling you. I've seen a lot of players roll through the Show Me Center. The fans really like you.
I don't know why that is, but I guess I'll take it.
All right, so now you're starting to dunk a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who are the good dunker? Like everybody likes to dunk in practice.
Mhm.
Guys will dunk in warm-ups. Didn't used to be able to. You can now. So who are some of the best dunkers on the team?
Quan, he can do some pretty cool stuff. You've seen that lately. He's got a couple cool dunks with the alley-oop from Phil the other night. Things like that. Josh Early, he's got crazy athleticism. He had a good putback dunk the other night. Chris, sometimes he can get.
I was gonna say we had to ask Chris, can you dunk, Chris?
Yeah,
And yes, he can. And then he did in the game the other day.
Yeah.
Too.
Phil, he likes to think he can dunk too. That's a good time.
Now, have you actually witnessed? Do we have video evidence? Can Phil Russell dunk a basketball?
He almost beat Dylan Branson in a dunk contest. once.
Ooh, all right. That's good to hear. I'm sure that Dylan would love to know that we were talking about that. All right, so you got Tennessee State on Thursday night, a team that you have already beaten, but it's a totally different day. It's a totally different venue. You'll
Yep.
be playing inside the Gentry Center, which actually is the biggest arena in the OVC in terms of seating. So what's the mindset of everybody? I know that was a tough loss on Saturday. What's the mindset going into Tennessee State? Only a game out of first place.
We just got to keep in mind that we're only a game out of first place, and Moorhead has to come back to the Show Me Center, so we're right there. We got to come out quicker this time against Tennessee State, unlike last time, even though we did beat them pretty well. Yeah, we just got to come out ready to play with a little sense of urgency and get after it more on the defensive end. But I think
I'd
we'll
like
be
to
good.
ask you, you're such a good shooter. Can you tell during pregame when you're shooting if you're going to have a good night or if you're not going to have a good night? Because there have been some games where you had an offer in the three-point column, and then the next game, you're lighting it up from three-point range. Can you tell in warm-up? Sometimes, like, pitchers can tell in the bullpen, or guys taking BP, and he's like, man, I feel locked in today.
Yeah, for me, it's been weird. When I shoot the ball really bad in warm-ups, I know it's going to be good in the game. So sometimes when I get hot in warm-ups, I'm like, I got to miss a shot. But I don't know, my best friend, during high school warm-ups, he always said the same thing. It was like he knew he was my rebounder in high school. We'd alternate shooting. And he always said when I was making shots in warm-ups, he knew it was going to be a tough one. But yeah, I don't know, it's just something that I've always had.
I've heard some really, really good major league pitchers say, I had the worst bullpen warming up. I was terrible, and I went out there and threw a one-hitter.
Yeah, I think I don't know why it's like that, but it is for me.
All right, are you on social media?
Yeah, I am.
All right, where can Red Hawk fans find you?
Well, on Instagram, Twitter, that's two main things I'm on.
How about your handle?
It's a great question. I don't even know.
Okay, that's good. Maybe we can search it. LARSON, and you're a finance major
I am.
at SEMO. Tell us about that.
That's just something I've always been passionate about. I'm always interested in. So I thought that's what I would do in college. My parents are in a bit of a different business. We own a couple funeral homes, so I dabble with that a little bit. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure what I want to do after college, but it's a good start.
Well, you talked to Rick Weezer, who's in the SEMO Hall of Fame right there. He works at a funeral home too. So
I work with them.
You do?
I do.
Tell us about that.
It's a great time. I haven't done a lot during season, obviously, but they're super good, and I appreciate all they do for me.
Oh, and you guys can swap some good embalming stories. That would be fantastic. And, being a finance major, if you want to play a lot of golf one day, man, you better get your finances ready. It's not a cheap sport, right?
That's something I want to do for sure after I'm done here.
All right, it'll be Thursday night at Tennessee State, and then the big matchup with Morehead State on Saturday night. Great catching up with you, Adam. Thanks so much.
Thank
Best
you for
of
having
luck.
me on.
Stay
Appreciate
healthy.
it.
That's Adam Larson. Great job. And we will take one final timeout. Lucas Orchard, Southeast Missouri State football assistant, is going to join us. And we're going to be talking about the Southeast Missouri State Alumni Network for former players, coaches, and staff. It is straight ahead on the Southeast Health Red Hawks Radio Network. To the Red Hawks Coaches Show. We're at Wings Etc. in Cape Girardeau, and we're joined by Red Hawks assistant coach Lucas Orchard. What is your official title as an assistant at SEMO?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I am the offensive line coach and newly alumni coordinator.
So you're the full offensive line coach.
Full offensive line coach, yes, sir.
All right, I wanted to make sure you said it. We've talked about all the assistant coaches during broadcasts and everything. When you played, you were a center, and you were a guy, my broadcast partner Rick Weezer is here. He always admired the way that you played because the way he would describe it, Lucas Orchard plays to the echo of the whistle.
Yep.
Meaning, there might have been some extracurriculars after the whistle. What was your mentality when you played?
I wasn't blessed with some of the physical tools that we recruit for, so I had to play the game a certain way to make sure I could play. So I learned from a young age, in high school, that to be successful, I had to push the edge and get after people a little extra. So that's what I tried to do and what I tried to teach.
And now you coach Zach Gig. He seems to have the similar mentality to you. Am I right about that?
Yeah, he likes to get after it. So, I always try to say it's easier to pull him back than it is to push him forward. So my job is to make sure he does it with a clear head, but I love the way he plays, and he does play hard, so it helps.
How much pride do you take in the fact that he won the Remington Award as the top center in the country this year?
Yeah, a lot of pride, right? It's amazing that it's a team award, really. You know, they don't give that award to a bad football player on a bad team. So hats off to everybody around him, and he worked really hard for it.
I did not know. I think everybody gets confused about how many seasons people have left because of COVID. I mean, it kind of threw everything into a loop. I thought that Zach did not have any more eligibility, and now I find out he does have another year of eligibility.
I think he might have 2.
Really?
Yeah, with, like you said, with the transfer rules and redshirting his first year at his prior school, I think he may have 2. So we'll see. We got to sort it out on our end.
That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it gets confusing, but obviously we'd love to have them more than one.
Well, the offensive line was certainly one of the strengths of SEMO's championship football team this past season. How much pride do you take in that? And, you know, Geno Hess doesn't make all those yards and break all those school records without the guys in the trenches.
Yeah, so I take a lot of pride. I played in that room. I tell recruiting visits, there's a fan hung on the back wall. I hung that fan on the wall. That room means a lot to me. And those guys, a lot of them, luckily played a lot of football with other great coaches, and I had an opportunity to coach them this past year, and it kind of came together. They worked hard, worked together, worked for each other, and we accomplished a lot of our goals.
You know, a lot of times people say the most intelligent unit on a football program oftentimes is the offensive line. I can't believe that. Is that real?
I think it's real. They're pretty smart. I think we were number 3 in team GPA as a position group. I think we had a 3.25. So again, they're really smart on the field and off the field. They have a lot of stuff to worry about, and I just try to play my role in helping them figure out what they need to.
I know one of the big questions I get from Red Hawk football fans: how many offensive linemen do we have coming back?
Yep. So we have 14 on campus right now. They'll go through winter and spring workouts. We return 2 starters and another player who played a lot of football. So, you know, we have some holes to fill, but I think we have some talent in the room to do that.
And as far as I know, only lost 1 offensive lineman to the portal?
Only 1 to the portal. Yep.
Okay, so that's good news.
Yeah, good news. They're hard to find. They're a hot commodity. So.
And how excited were you when you heard Geno Hess was coming back?
He makes my job a lot easier. He makes blocking a lot easier. I think we didn't give up very many tackles for loss, and I don't know if that's a credit to us or Geno, because he'll break the first one. So obviously he makes everything easier.
And it sounds like I saw a story in SEMO Ball about Paxton DeLaurent. He'll be he's out of his boot,
yep.
And he's going to start throwing in the spring. So everything health-wise for Paxton DeLaurent positive.
Yeah, as far as I know, and he's a really tough young man. So I know he'll be fighting to get back out there with the guys as soon as possible.
All right, we want to talk with you because explain your role with this. It is the Alumni Network for former players, coaches, and staff at Southeast Missouri State.
Yeah, so one of the things we haven't done a great job as a program is involving alumni, so that's something we're really wanting to make an emphasis this year and moving forward. It's not a financial deal. We're not trying to shake anybody down for money. Registration is free. We just want to connect with you, right? So our alumni is us and we are you. We want you to be a part of this program, and we want to share what we have to offer. So every year we're going to plan 2 main events, one around the spring game and one around a game in the fall. So this year, April 21st and 22nd, our spring game will be the 21st. We'll have a outing afterwards, a social gathering, and then that following Saturday morning we want to do a golf outing and just fellowship and old stories.
Man, how many of the old stories have you heard since you have been here? And have you heard more since you became a coach than you did as a player?
There's a lot of old stories, and Coach McDowell, he played here, so I had a lot of his old stories.
I saw him play.
Yep, so I hear a lot of his old stories, and that's the best, right? When me and my guys get together that I played with, You talk about Coach Tuke coming in at halftime against Stony Brook. Like, how many other stories are out there of past players? And that's what we want. We want to connect, and we want to hear from you.
How cool is it that Jeremy McDowell played for Tim Billings, and Tim Billings is here as a coach at Southeast Missouri State? So they've each got some interesting stories.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to see that dynamic and just learn from Coach Billings, who's been in the room, who's done it at the top level and came back, has pride in this place, and this place matters. So I know they both have enjoyed being here. I love being here, and it's a special place.
I don't know what Coach McDowell has told you about his playing days, but he broke about every freshman quarterback record at SEMO. Now, injuries got him. He took a terrible cheap hit at Illinois State. It was awful. But injuries did him in, and he retired. He actually retired and still had eligibility left, but because of injuries. But man, when he was a freshman, he set every freshman record there was at Division I at Southeast Missouri State.
Yeah, so he says obviously his injuries, and says it gets a little foggy in there for all the hits he took, but we'll pull up old YouTube clips and see him slinging it around. So.
Well, when he was playing quarterback, they didn't have an offensive line like they've got right now. Let me assure you that.
Yeah, so he's big on protection, and I understand why.
So how cool is it to you had a ring as a player, am I right? Playoff ring.
Yep.
The Stony Brook game. So you've got 2 rings in your arsenal now. How cool is that? No, you got 3. Because you got another playoff ring.
Yep. So 2 conference championships and then the playoff win. So the best ring is the next ring. So just keep working hard, and the results come when you buy into the process and work as hard as you can. So.
Do you wear a championship ring when you are recruiting?
I haven't quite got to that level yet. Some of the other guys, Coach Tuke, will get the rings out. They've been sitting in that box. I like looking at them. So.
All right, so when you are recruiting in the future, or some of the other assistant coaches, is that a move?
I think so. I've kind of seen some sneak peeks of his newest ring, and I might have to show it off a little bit.
All right, and football season's going to be here before we know it. Again, once again, if people want to get, is the school reaching out to alums, or if they want to get involved, if they're just now hearing about the network, what needs to be done on their part?
Yeah, so you could go to the Facebook. It's SEMO Football Alumni Network. There'll be a link to sign up, as well as the SEMO Redhawks website under the football tab. Sign up, share. So don't only just sign up, share to past teammates, share to staff members that you think might be interested. And I think we've had over 200 people sign up since it's launched, and just keep trying to build that and grow.
All right, if you go to SEMORedhawks.com and find the main football tab, you'll see the story about the football launching the Alumni Network. It's got 2 different links, one to join the Alumni Network, and then you can also see a video from Coach Tom Matukowicz. He probably does not like doing those videos.
No, it's not his favorite thing, but part of it, we're going to do quarterly videos of Coach Tuke updating the football team, the news, what's going on, and then we also plan to have players involved too, again, just reaching out to alumni and showing the interest.
How exciting is it going to be to see this new addition to House Stadium?
It's going to be amazing. So our fall event this year is going to be a reopen house with us. So we're going to invite all former players to come reopen the home field.
Going to be absolutely exciting, and I got to see here. I want to make sure I get the first game when the football season starts. I don't have it.
September
first
9th,
game?
I believe. September 8th and 9th is when we're inviting people to come down.
Okay, perfect. Lucas, thank you so much. Great catching up with you, and we'll talk in the future.
Yes, sir.
All right.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Lucas Orchard, Southeast Missouri State football. Thanks again, Adam Larson and Coach Brad Korn. It's a 5:30 start for the women Thursday in Nashville, and a late start, 8 o'clock, for the Red Hawk men as they take on the Tennessee State University Tigers. And then don't forget, Could be the big first place showdown with first place Morehead State. Redhawks are just a game behind the Eagles, and that'll be on Saturday, 2 o'clock and 4:20. So we hope to fill the Show Me Center as much as we can on Saturday. Please come out and root on the Redhawks. We'll get you back to regular programming here on ESPN Radio. Thanks here to Rachel Cook, and a belated happy birthday to her. She has a Groundhog Day birthday. ESPN Radio, and coming up, we've got regular programming. Enjoy the rest of your Monday, everybody. So long from the Coaches Show at Wings.